Good afternoon, everybody. My name is miahtheking, and honestly, to be frank with you, I'd have to change my name. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called Forest Ranger Simulator, developed by Virtual Magic and FreeMindSA, published by FreeMindSA. This game was released in early access and is selling for $15 American. So, what's the point of this game, you may be asking yourself? Well, it's meant to be a relaxation on the mind kind of game, as the game told me twice. A simple simulator of what it's like to live all alone in a forest where you're forced to pick up other people's trash. Like, literally picking up other people's trash. Anyway, that's the point. That's all she wrote, folks. You are just some random park ranger who you cannot customize, forced to live alone in this forest and picking up garbage, listening to relaxing, soothing sounds and music. That's it. So if that was enough to turn you off and you're already thinking of avoiding this game, then I can't even blame you. But if you're still here, then let's go into the details about this game's good and bad things, shall we? Up first, as always, is the positives. So the first thing that I really liked about here is the price tag. Considering it's early access, considering how much is available to play with right now, and the amount of time that it would take you to get bored with this, you know, if it's your kind of game, then yeah, that price tag is super appropriate and it's a very nice thing to see. It's, you know, they realize what they're selling to you right now and they're not getting greedy with it, so that's a good thing. The next positive would be the graphics. It looks pretty good, considering the fact that you're out in the middle of a rowdy forest. They still managed to give good color contrast and attention to detail in a lot of ways. By the way, if you're hearing any of that jingle jangle in the background, that would be my dog, because every time I record, she's got to be here. Anyway, it has amazing lighting, shadows, physics, and the list goes on. Just overall, it's really nice to look at while you're playing. Also, I should point out that I have the general settings here, the graphical settings, sorry, on their lowest setting, and it's still looking this nice. So imagine what it looks like when they're buffed up to the max. And the last positive I have is the music, and the kinda sound effects. Even after turning up the sound effects to, 50% more than the music, and keeping the music low without increasing that at all, I'm still not really hearing anything. Now, sometimes there's good ambiance, like when you're walking out in the forest, you can hear the wind, the trees, the birds, and whatnot. But when you're in your cabin, it's just pure silence. It's just awkward, except for the occasional owl. As for the music, though, it's not bad. It's actually kind of perfect for this scenario, honestly. It's a bit relaxing, but still a bit goofy and wacky. I mean, it fits the theme here so well that I actually found myself bobbing my head back and forth while listening to it and running around the forest. But, unfortunately, that's all I got for the positives, and I know we're not even like 3 minutes into this yet, but yeah, anyway, now we're going to go into the negatives, but before we do, yes, I know it's early access. I understand that it will have some issues and some bugs and whatnot. Because it's early access, I am going to give it some leeway. But even so, if I don't point these things out, how are people going to know what the game's problems are, what needs work? How will the devs know what needs improvement or change? So keep that in mind going forward, that I'm not pointing out negatives simply because I don't like the game or I don't like the devs. I just do it because I see them and I talk about it. Oh, also, if you wouldn't mind taking a few seconds of your day and supporting my channel, that would be super great as well, and it would help me out a lot more than you might think it will. Just click the subscribe button, the bell button, the like button, leave a comment, share the video. They help a lot. Thanks. Okay, now we're going to just move on from that. Now, on to the negatives. So, the first one that I want to go into is important. Now, it's good and bad, but I still felt that it was leaning more towards bad than it was good. And that would be the gameplay. Now, before I go into its flaws, let me go into the good stuff and say that the gameplay isn't the worst. It has its moments of a cool, addictive nature. You have to build yourself from the ground up. This is an addictive gameplay element. You can craft things, build things, edit things, collect and sell things, buy things, and I could keep going. It's got a lot of promise. I mean, it has the firefighting aspect. It has there's like animal traps out there that you have to disarm so the animals don't get hurt. It's got the collecting mushrooms that you can sell, collecting honey that you can sell. You can buy items that you can, spruce up your house with. You can craft things like birdhouses, and I couldn't see anything else, but I can craft birdhouses, I think is what those are. And there's a bunch of other stuff that you can really do, and you can repair things. So, it does have a lot of those same old-fashioned kind of survival open-world mechanics that you see in a lot of these games. So, that's just a good gameplay element, period, on its own, you know what I mean? So, it does have the basics of that kind of stuff. But now, here are the issues with it. The biggest one for me, and that's why I'm starting out this one, is that you can only jump like an inch off the ground. And you don't sprint very fast. Now, if you've ever played games like Skyrim, Fallout, or Raft, Rust, or any kind of open-world RPG or open-world survival game, you'll know how much of a bitch it can be to traverse through a forest. Normally requires a lot of jumping and sprinting and wiggling around. Well, in this game, you can barely jump and barely sprint. and yet you still have this really thick, annoying forest. And because of this, it makes it super hard getting through the forest. It makes it way more of a chore than it already is. And you're supposed to be a freaking forest ranger here. You're supposed to be the guy who's good at this kind of stuff. Plus, you can't even cross rivers, no matter how shallow they are, and they're everywhere. You always have to go around. This doesn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, do you think a forest ranger would go around the shallow river if he was in a hurry to get to a forest fire? Hell no, he'd jump across it, swim across it if he had to. Like, well, here you can't do that. So you always have to go all the way around to find a bridge before you can cross, which just makes traversing this frustrating map even more annoying. Then you've got the awkward controls. While the user interface itself is pretty pleasant and nice to look at for the most part, the gameplay is freaking weird. Like, everything is just weirdly done in a way I've never seen before. You know, click and hold, click E to activate the item menu, then use the scroll wheel to navigate your item menu, then you use E to equip the item, but E also puts the item away, so you have to, you have to hit E to equip the item, then you've got to click it to use it, but make sure you don't hit E again, because if you do again, you're going to have to go back and restart the whole thing again to grab it again. So then when you're done using it, you hit E and you finally get to put it back. Like, what? I mean, E is, in games, it's normally the interact button. So while you're going around trying to interact with things, you accidentally keep pulling out your fire extinguisher or your axe or something. And not only that, but you have no inventory screen, just an equipment screen. So you never know what kind of stuff it is that you're collecting. I mean, they give you a weird filling up meter with mushrooms and sticks, and while the game tells you that you can sell a basket of mushrooms, it never told me what I do with these bundles of sticks I keep gathering. I tried to sell them, but I can't, so I don't know, maybe it's for crafting? To be honest, the whole control scheme just feels off. Like, it's backwards from what we normally use. It's confusing. It's not normal. You know what I mean? In some menus, you use Q and E to rotate and change things for, when you're trying to look for something. But in others, you have to use the mouse wheel. I mean, why? Why not make them the same rather than different and confusing us? You can pick up items and then rotate them, but you can only rotate them horizontally. I couldn't figure out how to rotate them vertically. So if my beehive is upside down, I just can't set it back upright again. And why? The game allows you to purchase things for your home, but they serve no purpose. I bought a bed so I could sleep at night because the game tells you that it's pitch black out at night, easy to get lost, and that it's dangerous with the animals that are out there at that time. So I figured, okay, night's probably not a good idea for me to go out at night. I figured I'd sleep through the nights. So I bought this bed and I set it up, and I can't even use it. You can't even use the bed that you buy, so what's the point? I guess I'm just a park ranger who never sleeps? I'd say I was a robot, but robots don't run out of stamina when they run, do they? Also, there's no eating, because we're part robot, I guess, or something, I don't know. So if none of the things in your house matter, why would I bother wasting my money on them? It's a waste of money if they don't do anything. The garbage collection thing is a mess as well. You have to separate your different types of trash for recycling appropriately. Now, that I get. Okay, that's fine. But if you accidentally pick up something else, like I had a garbage bag filled with I don't know, it was like plastics and stuff like that, but I accidentally picked up a cardboard box, and it ruined the whole thing. It gives you like a little green indicator that my bag was filled with plastics, but then it went to black, like because I picked up the one cardboard box. But there's no way to separate them. And let me go into detail on that a little bit. Everything is color coordinated, and you can use your ranger sense, your ranger vision, because that's a thing, and which makes me further think that I'm a robot. Anyway, and it allows you to identify different types of garbage and recyclables that you can pick up, so that way you don't get them mixed and maxed and confused. But they clip through each other. They bond to each other. They hide under each other, so you can see a piece of it, and you try to grab the one that you need, but instead you grab the other one, and it ruins your whole thing. And then you have to recycle them appropriately, which is how you get money. But if you don't recycle them appropriately, you lose money. So if you accidentally pick up that cardboard box, you're not going to make as much money because it's going to take that penalty out of your thing. You know what I'm saying? But there's no real way to separate them. Now, the game says you can buy a garbage separating box. You can buy it from the store, but then when you go to the store doesn't give you names of any of the things you're looking at. I mean, come on, look at this. Now, sure, some of these things are quite obvious. That's clearly a bed. That's clearly a shelf. Like, we don't need names for those ones. But I mean, some of these, how exactly am I supposed to know what some of these things are? Or maybe I do know what they are, but I don't know what they're going to be used for in the game. Like, what is the game going to use these things for? The pictures kind of give you an idea, but sometimes there's things here where you have no idea where the game wants you to use them, and that's the problem. The gameplay definitely needs some work, is what I'm saying. And I could keep going and going, but I need to start ending this video. It's already way too long. The next negative is the tutorial. It's pretty, how should I say this? It's decent enough, I suppose, but it's lacking in a lot of crucial ways. Like, it does kind of tell you where to go and what to do, and this is helping you learn how to play the game, but it doesn't really teach me about the UI, or the long-term goal, or what certain things do and when. Like, I don't know what the bundles of sticks do, so you just kind of go from goal to goal, sort of kind of learning the game, but not even realizing what's the point of your equipment page is if you can see your equipment at the bottom right of the screen, so what's the point? And last but not least is the game stability. The game is super unstable right now, at least for me it was. I'm not even sure how the video looks right now because I haven't checked the footage, which was really dumb of me. But it's because of how hard it was for me to get the game to play. In my first 10 minutes of gameplay, it crashed on me. My second attempt, it froze on me, so I had to do a hard restart. And on my third attempt, I finally got the game to run, but was faced with frequent frame rate drops, glitches, and other bugs. So, sure, these can be explained away since it's early access, but even still, those game crashing and freezing bugs are pretty bad, and they need to be fixed right away. So, yeah, okay, I think that's all I got. Look, to be honest, I normally love games like this. Like Hobo's Life, remember that game? Starting off at the bottom with nothing and having to build yourself up over time with blood, sweat, and tears. I normally love that kind of stuff. But with this game, it makes you traverse a difficult forest while making it super frustrating for you to do so. Also, you can pick up trash, then traverse that same forest back home to recycle it, and God help you if you accidentally pick up the wrong garbage together because you're not going to make as much money and end up doing more work for yourself. Even fighting the fire was dull and boring when it showed up. I ran through this annoying forest to stare blankly at the fire while my extinguisher kept doing its thing. I just don't know. It's a game that takes a lot of patience, and it does have a lot of promise. I mean, maybe when they iron out all the bugs, improve the gameplay, and finish adding in some more exciting situations, this game could be a lot of fun. But I was just not having any of it. I was bored almost my entire time playing. My personal recommendation would be to put this on your wish list and wait for a few updates before buying it, and that's if you're super interested in it. But if this looks kind of boring, sounds kind of boring, and doesn't really feel like it's something that you'd like, then go ahead with that gut feeling and pass on it. It doesn't get much better than this. I mean, eventually you can buy a car and use that to get around, but considering how hard it was to get around on foot, I'm not too sure the car is going to help with that too much. Plus it could break down, and you have to spend money to fix it and run back and forth through the forest to fix it, and it's Chores the video game. That's pretty much what this is. Chores the video game. Go pick up garbage, recycle it, make sure to feed the birds, repair the truck, chop the wood, pick up those sticks, clean out those bear traps, chop down the dead trees, fix that beehive. I mean, it's literally a game about completing chores with a forest ranger skin, and I'm just not feeling that. So that's all the time I got for this video, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure, and until then, I bid you all farewell.